Manchester United has always been known for producing young talent. From the class of '92 to recent academy prospects, the club built its identity on trusting youth. But in recent years, that identity has been questioned, and one name has now become the center of a growing controversy. Kobbie Mainoo is widely regarded as one of the most intelligent and technically gifted midfielders to come through United's academy in years. Yet despite his talent, his development raised serious concerns among fans, analysts, and former players. This week, the debate exploded after comments from respected voices in football, including club legend Rio Ferdinand, suggesting that Mainoo's progress may have been delayed by poor decisions behind the scenes. So what really happened? Was Kobbie Mainoo protected or held back? And what does his situation reveal about deeper structural problems inside Manchester United? In this video, we break down the facts, the criticism, and the decisions that shaped Mainoo's rise, and why this controversy matters far beyond one player. The reaction didn't come only from fans on social media. When the discussion reached former players, the tone of the debate changed completely. Because this time, the criticism didn't come from journalists or rival supporters. It came from someone who knows Manchester United from the inside.
Opportunity here. That's just got him behind. It's square.
And a player who understands what it truly means to develop young talent at Old Trafford. Rio Ferdinand publicly questioned how Kobbie Mainoo was handled, and his words added serious weight to the controversy. Here's exactly what Ferdinand said.
And that's it. Hey, look at this. I think Kobbie Mainoo's brother, if that was, I look at it like, if that was my brother, right? And my brother went and done that. On one hand, I'm sitting there going, do you know what? That's my bro, you know, like, and he's looking out for me, and I love that. But this is my fucking battle. I don't need no one shouting for me, and definitely not publicly like that, right? And if you're going to do that, if you haven't asked me, and you've gone and done that on your own, we're going to have a conversation, because I ain't into that. You're putting me in a bad position in my change room. I don't want that, right? My biggest problem will be that if Kobbie Mainoo's known that's coming out, his brother's gone and printed the shirt, and his brother's shown him and said, bro, this is what I'm going to be putting on and posing for at Old Trafford, just so you know. And Kobbie's gone, do you know what? I'm cool with that. It's fine. Then I don't agree with that way of thinking. But listen, you have to say at the same time, if this gets Kobbie Mainoo a move at Christmas, then as a family, they're sitting there going, do you know what? We've done what we need.
But not everyone saw the situation the same way. While some former players focused on development and opportunity, others took a far more direct and unforgiving stance. Because when it comes to Manchester United, there is one voice known for saying exactly what he thinks without sugarcoating anything. A former captain, a serial winner, and one of the most demanding figures in the club's modern history. Keane also addressed the Kobbie Mainoo debate, and his reaction was very different. Here's what Keane had to say.
There's certainly positives from United going forward. When you think of the goals last year, they were just barely averaging above a goal a game. This year, it looks like it's just about 2 goals a game. So yeah, clearly they're a better package going forward. Of course, the concern is defensively the goals they're giving up and the chances they're giving up. The teams against United seem to create chances very easily. Just seems to be 1 or 2 quick passes and they're in on top of the goalkeeper. And when you look where Villa are and the strength to them, and you look at United midfield, you'd like to think Villa will certainly get a bit of joy on the back of United's midfield and across United's back 3, back 5. But having said that, I do think United's attacking players can cause Villa problems today. So it could be anything today. But United, for all the positives going forward, defensively and midfield, I've still got huge question marks over them, and that tells you in the table. But when you look at the table, United still have the potential to have a very, very good season in terms of getting in the top 4 or 5. It's there for them. They just have to tighten up more at the back.
And if they win today, they're only 4 points off Aston Villa. And we're now talking about what a fantastic season that they're having at this stage. But for Manchester United, because of the reasons that Roy gave there about that kind of the defence and the protection of the defence from midfield, is that why maybe it doesn't feel quite so positive about Manchester United?
I think that's right. You know, we looked at the start of the season, we said about Manchester United, they wanted to be challenging and, you know, challenge for titles. Right now, it's difficult. You know, there's no way getting away from that. For the manager, I think that he hasn't really settled on his back 3. You know, I think you look at the game the other day, he's changing centre-backs in the second half of the game. And, you know, you don't really want to be changing your centre-halves unless one of them's injured. Your midfield, obviously, Casemiro's missing today. A guy comes in and Bruno Fernandes is playing there. The way Unai Emery wants to play, he wants to play with, you know, his wide men that come in behind that midfield. And No, Bruno Fernandes is a creator. He wants to create goals. He wants to get assists. He wants to score. You know, his defensive side of things is not, you know, he's not great. He can do it, but you know, you want him to give that extra yard to get himself back into a defensive position. Aston Villa are going to look to get him behind that, and you know, like I say, it's going to be difficult. But then on the flip side, you look at Manchester United's attacking line. They can create, they can score goals, and you know, like Roy said, they can hurt Aston Villa today. So you know, we could be in for anything today.
But Manchester United fans, as they always do, have been crying out for some of the younger players to make their way into the squad. And now Ruben Amorim has come out and he's answered a couple of questions around this, and started off quite gently in the earlier days, saying they just need to be good enough and then they'll get their chance. But he's now started to talk about maybe a sense of entitlement amongst some of the younger players, that they feel that they deserve a place in the squad. Yeah,
you have to fight hard. We've said it managers before, when you've got young players at big clubs, they're obviously you've got the talent, but it's the other side of it, that mentality. And you've got to earn the right to play. When you get opportunities, you've got to take it. So maybe some of these younger United players that he's talking about haven't done enough for him. You have to build up that trust with the manager. Say, yeah, for all United's problems, there's not enough. If you're talking about Mainoo and people like that, they've obviously not got the trust of the manager yet. So you've got to build that trust. So when you go away from home in particular, and that manager's looking, can I trust this player to go out and do a job for Man United? Then you'll get your opportunity. But these lads obviously haven't built up that trust yet. And I do agree, a lot of young players now waltz around the place, think I've got this talent. But you need more than that. Especially if you're playing for the big clubs like Man United, it's a big responsibility. There's a lot of pressure, but you embrace that. Like we've seen with some of the new players who come into United. OK, they're not young players, but they've embraced that pressure. And the one or two young players coming through United, we've said it many times before, talent is not enough. It's what you do day in, day out on that training pitch. You earn the right to play for Man United, and you also have to earn the right to stay in the team. It's well and good getting in and getting an opportunity. You've got to take it, you've got to stay there, and end up hopefully over the next 5-10 years playing hundreds of games for Man United, and that comes from trust and belief in the manager.
Do you think there's an element of the fact that Manchester United's academy has been so successful, and they have made, you know, so many successful careers from academy products, that maybe there's a sense of expectation there that this will just happen naturally, rather than players feeling that they have to put, that, as Roy says, the more practical elements in place? Definitely.
You know, you look at Manchester United's academy over the years, they've produced time and time again, and you know, it's like what Roy's saying, that Manchester United, there's standards, and you've got to be consistent as well. You can't just expect that you've got talent that you're going to play. You know, you've got to work hard, and that comes day in, day out. If the manager's looking at certain players that are younger and they're not, you know, being consistent every day in training, you're not going to play at the weekend. You know, there's players there that are probably training better than you that will be in the team. So it's Manchester United. It's a massive club. It's the biggest football club for me in the world, and you know, standards are high. And if you're not, you know, going to them standards, then you're not going to play. So you have to be consistent. And when you get opportunities, whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, you've got to go and play well.
But even for these young players coming through, part of playing for Man United or any big club, you've got to show a bit of character and a bit of personality. The word we use is you've got to be consistent. You've got to get into really good habits. I know there's a lot of talk over the years about Scholesy and Butty and the Nevilles coming through and Becks and people like Giggsy. These were brilliant players, but brilliant characters. They dealt with pressure from young players. I know we've seen clips over the years when Alan Hansen said, you know, you win out with young kids, but these were top lads. These were talented kids, and a great example to all the other young players coming through United. They had talent, but they worked their socks off. They were big personalities. They enjoyed the pressure playing for Man United. They were happy to get the ball in front of 75,000 people and deal with that type of pressure. And clearly at this moment, these young players that the manager's talking about haven't reached that level yet. But hopefully over the next few months, years, they get that opportunity, they take it. But it's character and personality is key for me for a Man United player.
And you mentioned Kobbie Mainoo in particular.
The debate around Kobbie Mainoo goes far beyond one young player. On one side, voices like Rio Ferdinand highlight the importance of trust, patience, and proper development. On the other, figures like Keane remind everyone that playing for Manchester United has never come with guarantees. Talent alone is not enough. And maybe the real issue isn't choosing who is right or wrong. The real issue is that Manchester United has spent years without a clear structure, changing managers, shifting philosophies, and sending mixed signals to its young players. In that kind of environment, Even the most talented prospects can be delayed, misjudged, or lost. Mainoo is now proving his quality on the pitch, but his story raises an uncomfortable question. How many other players never got that chance? And until Manchester United finds stability and direction, this debate won't be the last. What's your view?